All right, we're back.
All right, team. We are back.
Coming at you shortly,
Ooh.
the Warner Bros. Discovery earnings recap and everything that we got right, which is 100%.
Yes.
And then the Disney earnings and some show recommendations coming to you shortly.
That's right. Stay tuned. All right. We're back.
We're back.
We're back. Episode
Oh, are we
20?
in the 20s yet?
We might be 20,
Is it
actually.
20s or maybe 19?
Might be, let's see.
I'm going to say 19 and be a little bit
I
conservative.
think it's 19. We still have to post the last one,
Yeah.
but
Let's just pretend it's the 19. Welcome back
we're gonna
to
pretend it's 19.
EBR episode 19.
that 19. I am Jordan.
And I'm Brian, your two dumbest smartasses talking about the entertainment industry. Welcome back.
That's right. Welcome back.
We have some interesting news to talk about today. I think we're going to start with the Warner Bros. Discovery earnings call, which is
Yes.
after our previous podcast, which will come out shortly, where we were predicting a couple things. And we both were big fans.
Huge fans.
Huge
I will
fans.
say this was. I think it was funny. I was seeing some analysts being like, I've never been more anticipating an earnings report than the Warner media, because there
Yeah,
were like
watched it live, baby.
rumors. Yeah, there were like rumors about like what's the if they're going to announce a new service name.
Yeah, what's the new
like
streaming
are they
company?
ruining? I think because that was when the Batgirl movie was like, I think like 2 or 3 days ago they
Right.
like made that decision.
Yep. So
And
much
everyone was
hubbub.
like, oh, and they canceled like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, this is a little off topic. I saw today that the CW said that their target audience is like 50-year-olds. Did you see that?
No.
The CW came out and was
That's-
like, our target audience, like our majority of our audience, like 50 years old. I'm like,
No, that's
what
a
are you
joke.
talking about?
No, that cannot be true.
If that's true, that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard in
Oh,
my life. It's
oh.
like the Archie series
Okay.
and like fucking like teen vampire
Reading
stuff.
between the lines, what they're saying is 50-year-old people are paying for the cable packages. Their target audience are
Oh.
kids, but no one's watching it, so it ends up being the 50-year-olds
Ah.
paying for it.
Okay, maybe I hope that's what
You got to
they're
double
talking
click
about.
into that data.
Maybe I got to look into it a little more. Maybe it's a misleading headline. I just remember seeing that being like,
Nah, there's no way that's true.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Like not knowing what the CW is producing, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was thinking about that because Batgirl
Batgirl
just
thing.
reminded me of a
But
CW
I mean, that
show.
that played a
But-
front and center part of the entire earnings release, right? They were
Yes.
talking about it.
They did it. One analyst asked, of course, they were going to ask a question about it, and Zaslav, he said it in a very politically correct way, but he was basically like, if it's not up to the quality that we expect from the DC brands, then I don't even think he went even that far. He was just like, we want high quality for our movies,
Yeah.
and they just left it at that, being like, basically, Batgirl was shit.
Yeah.
He didn't say it.
He
Obviously,
was
he couldn't say
just
it.
one shy of saying like it wasn't good enough.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I mean
I'll
that's
give
the
that tax
that's the
credit.
movie that got caught between strategies, basically, right? Like
Yeah.
Jason Collar wanted to go straight to streaming. They looked at it and was like, okay, does this fit with the brand? Will this bring in subscribers?
Yeah.
And if not, how much money are we gonna have to spend to send this to theaters if we send it to theaters, right?
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know for how many people are familiar with the sunk cost fallacy, but he made the right choice because all that, it doesn't really matter, right? It matters what the utility from it is going to be going forward,
Right.
right? So if they're going to be potentially net negative from actually having more marketing costs or anything like that with releasing it,
Right.
then it's not worth
Then
it,
you
right?
should
It's
take it out.
MPV negative.
Not only is it MVP negative, but I also think like it does hurt your brands. Like your brand is one of the most important things you have as an industry. And if
Yeah.
DC continues to have a brand of being absolute dog crap, I mean, you even look at the pictures from Batgirl. Batgirl. You were like, even the costume looked terrible. Like
Yeah.
you're just like, this is really like, come on. Like so. To be fair, like. Not only was it going to be a sunk cost, right, but it also like probably was going to do damage to the brand in
Right.
the long run of like to people
Yeah.
taking DC seriously.
Yeah,
which
and-
people are already struggling to do because like 80% of the DC movies that are coming out were garbage.
Right.
You know,
You have a
so-
few gems, but mostly averaging pretty bad.
Yeah, and they were kind of doing well. Like Suicide Squad was like okay, but like the Joker was really
Joker was
good.
Batman was
Batman was okay. Harley
Yeah.
Quinn kind of tanked.
Yeah.
but like. It was hit or miss.
So
but
on the business podcast, Matt Bellany, shout out to Matt Bellany,
Yeah.
our boy. He was talking about how he knew people that actually seen the movie and during test screenings. And
Batgirl?
on Batgirl, and the common perception was it's of TV quality, which is already kind of a dig.
that's bad. Yep.
It's low stakes, and there are some action scenes that are not for the big screen.
So it's basically just not a big screen.
It's just
movie.
not a
Yeah.
big screen movie.
Yep.
Right? And you can't make content to be subpar.
Right.
It's a self-fulfilling
Well, that's
prophecy.
because right, it was meant to be straight to streaming.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think Zaslav's point is like movies should be like every movie that we make should be of movie theater quality.
Yep.
Like that's what distinguishes.
Yeah,
movies.
he said that specifically, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's like thank you. Finally, like there is a difference. But there used to be this whole thing where like people were like, does the TV movie exist anymore? Now like are all the movies just as good as on streaming, just as good as the movies in theaters? And the answer is seemingly no, to be honest. Not only because
I
of
agree.
the production values generally are higher, but also you have marketing dollars. It creates noise. It gets people talking when it's in theaters. But if it's just dropped on your streaming service, nobody really talks about it. Like nobody was running around being like, "Have you seen The Gray Man?" Like wasn't.
It'll get lost in the shuffle, right? And
Yes.
and have you ever heard of like a $90 million TV movie?
No,
Like that's a
that's also a problem.
yeah,
Like
right off the
economically-
bat.
Yeah. Well, that was the huge shift between Kylar and Zaslav. Obviously, was
Yeah.
Zaslav actually like
Looked at costs.
Yeah, Kyler was just like throwing enough money. He was in startup growth phase, which is not like the way you should do a legacy company. It's, oh, HBO is basically a startup. It's like, dude, the only reason you can say that is because your legacy cable channels are making you guys so much money that you can compensate.
He's more of
for
like
its
a
operating
tech
loss.
visionary than he was like a media executive.
And to be
So-
fair, by the way, the reaction from the earnings was not good. Like I enjoyed what Zaslav was saying. I think he's going in the right direction, but it was not good.
oh, the market didn't react.
The market
well to it.
reacted really poorly, and it's because
Really?
the EBITDA looked terrible. Like
Oh,
they had a huge loss.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, we're probably not going to dig ourselves out of this hole for like another couple of years.
But I mean,
But, like,
that's
he's-
expected though, right? Like, see, that's what I'm so confused by because
that's why
like,
the market, like, Wall Street's kind of.
but you're combining two companies. There's going to be redundancies, but there's also going to be synergies. And like in
Right.
the next couple years, as they're integrating the two companies, they're going to be EBITDA like
They're going to be
neutral
doing
or
great.
negative.
Right. I mean, that's just like the way it's going to work in a merger like that. And
Yeah.
when you had Kyler just spending money on freaking everything, I think it just they expected it to not be as bad, and it was.
Yeah.
But like everything that Zaslav and the management team were saying were like very like on the nose. Like this is how you get out of this hole.
Yeah.
So I think Wall Street was just reacting to like just the money like aspect they thought was much worse than they thought it was going to be. But I don't think that reflected like the optimism of like the way management was thinking about it, because management is
Yeah.
thinking about this in a very good way. Like the way they're thinking about it is exactly how you get out of that hole. Like you cut.
Yeah.
I think they cut like 70 people from their reality division today. Like so they're cutting costs. They're cutting projects that they don't think are going to work.
And
like
okay, and
they're
also
doing the right things.
You're saying cutting, but really what they're doing is they're rationalizing costs too. They're right sizing it, which
Yes,
is like
yeah.
taking a very deliberate
point.
approach to making it the right size.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Which is-
they're like getting rid of the bloat. They're just trimming the fat. That's
Trimming the
really
fat,
what it
baby.
is.
We're all about trimming the fat here.
That's right.
Yeah, getting fit. This is WBD getting
Literally.
fit.
They're cutting.
Yeah,
they were in
they're
bulking
cutting.
season. Kyler was all about cutting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all
All
about
the
bulking.
bulking.
But they were just getting fat.
Yeah.
They're just getting fat and getting slow. And so now we're cutting. Now we're
Yep.
getting back into it. So
Yep.
no, it's totally the right move.
we're fully expecting a nice ripped 6-pack type
Yes.
company coming up.
Oh, 100%.
I think part of the reaction might be also to the streaming strategy that they released.
Right.
So
Oh,
they
yeah,
had
so
a
we should get
whole
into that a little
section.
bit.
Yeah, they had a whole section on it about what's going to happen to Warner Brothers, HBO Max, and Discovery Plus. And I think if I remember correctly, it was saying that they believe that Discovery Plus's product is top notch.
There were a lot. Yes.
So, okay, I'm not a subscriber to Discovery Plus, so I can't vouch for that. But I do know HBO Max has issues. So if
Yeah.
they think that D Plus has the best product, sure, whatever.
Right.
but at least they're going to keep the premium branding of HBO Max.
Yes. So
Okay.
if it's not going to be the name, right, it's going to be at least a sub.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be within the streaming platform, which I think is a good move.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely they should keep that 100%.
Yeah. But they did say that it's going to be one service, combined service. It's going to
Right.
be a new service, and it's going to come out summer 2023.
Right.
So
And they
that's
laid
not
out,
a
like,
lot
an
of time.
international expansion too, I think,
Yeah,
in later
yeah.
years, right?
But at the end
But not
of
a lot
the
of
day,
time,
that's
you're
not
right.
a lot of time.
Yep.
And so I guess from my perspective, my question to you, Jordan,
Hmm.
what do you think the combined name is going to be? I was throwing
That's a
some things
good
out with my
question.
team. I think
yeah. What do you think?
I think Disco Max might be an
Disco
option.
Max?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be like I think the logo is just gonna be a disco ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the plus on it.
Do you think it has to be like a combo of their names, or do you think we just cut one of the names off?
Dude, honestly, they're gonna do something completely different.
You
I
think?
Yeah, I think they're gonna.
They're
take
not
the
gonna do a
Peacock
plus?
route. No,
They're
I
not
think
gonna
they're
do
gonna
a
do the
plus?
Peacock route and
You
be
think?
completely different.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like if you say one or the other, you're basically playing favoritism.
I
right?
know. Yeah. You kind of
So
are.
yeah, so you kind of have to have them each other as their individual brands and have one unified streaming vision.
I know. Huh.
I think it works better for their overall strategy. but-
Disco Max. That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, to be honest. That's I hope they get creative. I used to get really pissed because like every streaming platform was like something plus.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys.
I
It's like,
do.
it's like, geez, like stop making it so obvious that you just listen to the you just listen
Yeah.
to the focus groups and go with the focus groups. Say.
Yeah.
Like do something creative.
What I liked particularly about the earnings release was that they took digs at like other companies.
Yes,
and other
it did.
Yeah, that was
It took it took
bold.
I loved it. They took they shit on every other company
Yeah.
that does I mean they really targeted Netflix. I mean because Netflix did like Netflix is doing things that even Netflix is probably regretting at this point.
You saw that one slide, right? It was like
With the content all going the chode slide.
The chode-
I call it the chode slide because they just took like all of the revenue streams and they're just like, and then Netflix
They
made
just-
a chode. It's just like a little, like it's just a little thing, but it is like it to the
a little thick, but it's a huge head. You know?
Yeah. Yes. Despite it looking like a chode,
oh my
it is
God.
a really good slide. I actually do really like the slide because it does show you that like there's two aspects to it. Like when movies were released and a TV show was released, they had windows, and the windows were important because not only, and they emphasize this, not only were they more revenue, like every time you hit a new window, it was more revenue into your pocket, but it was also a way that interest spiked again.
Yeah.
Right? So like it'd go into theater, interest culturally would spike.
Yep.
Then it'd go into airplanes, and people would watch on an airplane, and it'd spike again.
It was a
Then
tried
it'd
and
go-
tested and tried method
Yes.
of increasing engagement that is sustained.
Exactly. And so when you go to the Netflix model where you just drop it on the streaming platform, not only do you lose the revenue that peaks every single time you go to a new window because you've destroyed the windows,
Yeah.
but also you release the interest. So when it drops on Netflix, people talk about it and like see it for like 2 weeks and then it's
Yeah.
gone. And then nobody talks about it ever again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
They-
that hurts the movie.
The
That
slide
hurts
was
the
so
TV
funny.
show.
It was just
Yeah, I
like,
gotta
it
find
just
it.
said
I'm trying to find
content point and then streaming. And it's so
Yeah.
funny because like one of my coworkers was like making fun of it. He was saying, "Oh, I sent this slide to my other coworkers. They're like, oh, I understand what it is that you do now because it's so simple."
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's really funny. Actually.
But I was like,
I love that.
I love how it's like so elegantly simple and also dumb, but also smart and like
I
all at
like
the
the
same
slide,
time.
to be honest. People were making fun of it, but I like the slide because
Yeah.
it does it exactly. It shows it really concisely and really clearly.
It also-
what the fuck Netflix did.
They also it's also taking a dig at Disney a little bit too because they're doing it as like distribution driven
Yeah.
content, right?
Yes.
So it was kind of taking a dig at them too.
Yeah.
Which is actually maybe a good segue into our next section, which is Disney.
So the big news, right? The big news was that Disney has more subscribers than Netflix, which is actually
more subscribers,
right? Which is a huge asterisk because that's bullshit. They double or triple count their bundles, obviously, and then they also
Which is-
included like all of their other subscription services
Yeah.
like Stars and I just
This I think this
You
is the
know.
way that they're going about it now, like because that's what Viacom has been doing for a while,
right yeah
with like Pluto and all these others.
Yep.
And then now with Netflix doing hybrid models, I think all that's gonna go like fucking messed up again.
What do you mean?
Like the way that they're reporting like accounts, viewership, streaming hours, subscribers. Like it's all gonna be just a clusterfuck of numbers.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. Like
dude, all the analysts have to like keep up with every permutation of the same numbers
I know,
being
it's super
reported by
annoying.
different companies.
Bro, back in the day, like it was probably so easy to listen to these earnings reports because they'd be like, here are the ratings we had on our various cable channels. And that's it. And everybody reported the same metrics. Everybody read Nielsen, so everybody knew
we had
what
this
was
many
going on.
subscribers paying
this many
much.
subscribers. Here was the ad rate.
Yeah.
Here's what the ads that we're charging for because our, this is how many viewers we get during prime time. It was all standardized. And then the streaming platforms came in, made it internally, and now they all use their own metrics.
They made it so expensive with so much data that they need stupid MBAs like us to go in and make sense of it all.
It is a benefit to us.
It's the only reason why we have a job now.
That's right. I mean, you really didn't. Yeah, it really did emphasize the need for like more analytically minded people to join these companies. Before, you really didn't. You really didn't need to be that intelligent to like kind of figure it out.
But I thought it was funny that like they basically reported all divisions were doing well, and subscribers are up. Basically, they're just saying like
Parks was doing really well.
Yeah, they were like JPEG. All right. Thumbs up.
Yeah. No, I mean, I give JPEG credit. I mean, Disney's financials were great. The market did react pretty positively to it.
He is more akin to Zaslav in his approach, right?
Yeah, I think he does think a little bit more like Zaslav.
Yeah, like cost-cutting numbers.
He's a much more of a numbers guy.
Price raiser kind of guy.
Yep. And it's funny because I remember somebody being like, one of my friends being like, it's so annoying that they keep raising prices. I'm like, yo, but people pay it. Like, if like that's the problem. Like, how can you tell him to lower prices or keep prices the same if he can raise prices? I mean, it does nothing to demand.
That's what Disney's good at. They're identifying an area that has high willingness to pay, and they're just going to do it.
That's kind of what made Eisner like so huge in the entertainment business. Was like Disney was charging like nothing for the park, and he was like, let's like raise this like 150%.
Yeah,
and it changed demand nothing, and they just made way more money.
Yeah,
like,
they realized the price elasticity of kids is like essentially vertical.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
like
exactly.
They're willing to pay anything.
Like if kids are like, I want to go to Disneyland, it's like parents kind of have no choice. So you could raise the crap out of those prices. Yeah. And you also have like the Disney super fans who will pay freaking everything. So otherwise, like Disney looks great. I mean, the numbers did look. I was kind of surprised. Like ESPN Plus is actually not doing too badly. Like their numbers were up. I think they were like 24 million or something like that. Which, I mean, frankly, I didn't know where ESPN Plus was going originally, like a year ago. I don't know what they have now, but
I find the whole sports strategy. Maybe this could be a whole podcast on its own, but. Just like the way that sports is heading is a very confusing time for consumers, right? Because you have leagues starting their own streamers. Some of them are.
Yeah, I think the NBA is trying to do something.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's rights for each individual days going to different streaming services.
I think it's actually hurting
the ESPN Plus, like it's.
I think it's actually hurting the sports themselves.
For sure. They're like fragmenting every sport.
Yep. Because nobody has like I think like the destruction of the cable package is ruining football right now.
Yeah,
I think people
if you want to watch
football
every night, you need at least 4 services.
Right, and I think it's actually hurting. And the only thing like you can have to like watch all the games is the NFL Sunday Ticket, which is currently on DirecTV, which nobody friggin' has and nobody wants.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to Apple, which is huge. If that's the case, I forget. I thought they announced it, but I'm not really sure. But
I think they did.
It's going to a streaming service. Yeah. So if it's going to Apple, like I think it's going to help the NFL a lot. And it's definitely going to help Apple. But like I mean, like college basketball also suffers through this problem. Like I think a lot of sports. I'm honestly curious when like when the bridge breaks or when the dam breaks. Like everyone's like, cable's gonna die. And it's like
here's what
Disney
I'll say.
Still makes more money on linear than they do on streaming.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if we can have aggregators start to combine sports zones together again, like cable packages, then that's going to be a game changer. I wonder what companies are combining sports and aggregating that kind of stuff.
I wonder.
But yeah, I mean, bringing it back, like it's an interesting question for ESPN Plus because, like I have ESPN Plus, but I have it for watching tennis, and for tournaments that matter. Like some matches I can watch and some matches I can't watch, and that pisses me off so hard.
Yeah, it's annoying
because who is deciding which tennis players are are worthy of being watched. Like it's just it just maddens me.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of the reason why people are thinking that ESPN Plus wasn't going to be doing well. But at the end of the day, people are still going to like use ESPN Plus for like UFC and stuff. So
yeah, I mean,
it's
I
still
think
a value driver for most people.
I think one of the big benefits. I mean, I have ESPN Plus because I accidentally bought it.
Accidentally left it on.
Well, I wanted
Renewed.
to get. I was with some friends and we wanted to watch the UFC fight, but you need to get ESPN Plus in order to get the UFC.
Yep.
So we just bought it, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize I also paid for ESPN Plus for a year. I was like,
yeah, it's like
I think it was
$70 or something.
No, I think it was like 20. It was super cheap.
Oh, per month for 12 months?
No, it was the annual one. Maybe it was more than that. Maybe it was like 50. I remember. I thought I only paid like $90.
Yeah,
for like everything.
I remember it's not that expensive versus like a year of like a cable package.
Yeah, like they gave me a good discount. I'm pretty sure on it. I got to make sure I cancel that because I don't use ESPN Plus ever.
Yeah.
So like I think Disney was trying to figure out exactly how to use that, and so the numbers I was actually kind of impressed, but. Yeah, I think eventually, like the dam's going to break on cable, and all these sports leagues are going to have to figure it out. And did you see that? Actually, did you see that? Shout out to Lucas Shaw, I think, from Bloomberg.
Yeah,
he had a good like graph of if you paid for every single streaming service you want now, like the broad ones.
Yeah,
it's like $100 now. He's like, we're back. We're back to cable.
God
except it's worse.
Look what you did.
Yeah, except it's worse because it's like. It's not all in one, so you're paying for all of them separately, and you don't know where everything is.
Yeah,
and it's way more content. You can't, dive into it. So
oh, God.
It's cable, but it's worse now because everything's separated.
Yeah, I mean,
at least
I'll just say like
together.
A tangent point. I think people are starting to look at their services in a new way, which is there's the top for each like affinity group. So for us young professionals in LA who are into entertainment, there's a core set of services that they'll consider core. Like they'll always have it. So it could be Netflix, could be HBO Max.
Yep.
Discovery Plus, whatever. And then you have like your ones that are like nice to haves. So maybe Peacock and other ones. And then there's those that are like niche add-ons. So
yes,
Cinemax.
Right.
Curiosity Stream.
Yes.
Those ones.
Yeah.
And that's how people are viewing their services now. So you and I might have like a core set that we're always going to be loyal to, and the rest might be the ones that like cycle in and out.
Right.
But that's becoming like the new thing now, and that kind of supports what Lucas Shaw is saying. Basically, like if you want to get the core stuff that you want now, it's going to be $100, right? Because you have the core set plus some other stuff,
right?
That's just the way the. Now we're all going back to piracy, okay? Like people are going back to piracy because the value of streaming was to get rid of actually paying for stuff.
Yep.
And then now it's like back.
Well, that was also a big part of the Disney earnings was they raised their prices. So Disney's going to raise their prices on the bundle because they're still losing money on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah. Which is wild because it's such a sticky product, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think. I don't know. Maybe if they stop making garbage, maybe they'll maybe they'll do the Zaslav play and actually reduce content spend and only make good stuff.
Yeah. Or if they can find franchises that are on the way up and not on the way down.
Yeah. Well, frankly, I mean that like leads me to a good question, like for you, which is like, what franchises are on the up? Honestly,
I think
I feel like every franchise is on the down. Like Marvel's like. I remains to be seen if they can kind of go back up trajectory, but their trajectory still feels down.
I think
Star Wars after
Westeros.
Obi-Wan just like fell down.
I think Westeros is kind of in a resurgence.
That's our next episode should be the battle between Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones coming up, because I think so. Game of Thrones
they're scheduled
like
less than
soon.
2 weeks apart.
Yeah, they're coming up. I have a feeling that Game of Thrones is going to be better, but I don't know. So I don't know if I want to watch them. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
we're going to be able to watch them.
Huh? Yes, that's true.
We're going to be able to watch them. I have a feeling that Lord of the Rings is going to get more viewership.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, they paid it.
It's a more international brand.
Yeah.
And Amazon has a larger international footprint.
True.
And they have deeper wallets to push it to every Prime user. Like they're going to be way more aggressive with pushing it to
Like marketing and
yeah.
I mean,
I can't imagine a world where anything can compete with Amazon Prime when they put all the resources that they possibly can into something like that.
oh yeah, no. I
And
mean,
with the franchise power of Lord of the Rings.
I mean, there's also just like I feel like the inevitability that like Apple and Amazon are like kind of watching these companies, like these entertainment companies, try to compete with them, and they're like, they're so cute.
Yeah.
But like at any time, we could
This
could start
This is
spending
just
actual
like
money.
2% of our overall.
Yeah, like Amazon and
P&L.
Apple might eventually just be like, all right, let's start actually spending money and just destroy them because
Yeah.
they easily could. With the exception of, I guess, content. Although, frankly, Apple's been doing a pretty good job with content, and Amazon has a few pretty good ones. So
Amazon is definitely getting better. That's what
yeah,
I'll say.
dude. I mean, they had
Yeah.
The Marvelous Maisel, which was really good. They had Invincible, which was fire. The Boys, one of the best shows I've watched in a while.
They have hits.
They do have hits.
They do have hits.
They had the I think there's like a Chris Pratt show that just came out that was getting good reviews, but like I hadn't seen it.
Chris Pratt has a show and not like one of his dumb movies.
Yeah, no. I did watch that movie.
Tomorrow War.
Yeah, I was like, it's fine. The Terminal List.
Oh, that's a show?
Yeah, it's a show.
Oh,
It's actually
okay.
got
I gotta
40
watch that. It's been on my list for a
40%
while.
on Rotten. Oh,
It's got
one of-
4-0.
it's one of those classic, like the critics gave it a 40 and the audience gives it a 95. I never know how to. I never know. The only way.
usually
What is it
means-
about? If it's about the military, it's probably some like woke crappy, like we can't support the military. and
But
that's
if
why
it's
they
a
rated it
show where
that.
the audience score is that high, it means it's probably entertaining, but it's not anything special. That's how you.
That's a good point.
How I
Yeah,
would
that's
interpret
see, that's
that.
my problem. I never really know. Like there are some shows that have that split, and then I'm like,
the
screw
wokeness split
critics.
is the reverse. When the critic score is really high, but the audience score is really low. It's usually because
True, but the woke thing can also go in the opposite direction. Like if it's not a woke film, then like the critics kill it, and then everybody else likes it when they watch it.
That's true.
So it could be. It's like if it's in the middle, it's fine. But if it's like super not woke or super woke, it switches the like the rating.
This is just one of those shows that is suffering from the wokevity of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I have no idea. It's so funny how I see that more and more these days of like the split between the critics and the audiences, like almost never
It
align.
happens all the time.
It's
now.
like so strange.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, why? Why does this? It's strange. Okay, but anyway, I mean, I kind of assume that anything with Chris Pratt, all critics just like want to hate. 'Cause
Yeah.
For some reason, Chris
Yeah.
Pratt is on like a hate list with everybody.
But
for
then
some
all his
reason.
fans are gonna show up.
Yeah, and all of his
Yeah,
fans
man.
are going to. Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. We could go on for a tangent on this, but there was like an article that came out the other day, like today, of Dallas Bryce Hall, whatever her
Dallas
name
Bryce
is.
Hall, yeah, the
was-
redhead.
Yeah, the redhead. She was talking about how Chris Pratt made way more money than her in Jurassic Park, and she was complaining about it. It's like,
Jurassic World.
yeah, and I'm like, are you gonna seriously like think that you deserved to be paid as much as Chris Pratt? Come on, no one's going to the theaters to see you. They're all going to. Are you kidding me? Come on, this is basic market. Like, come on.
I want to. I haven't seen the article, so is that literally what she said?
She's here. I'll look it up. She said that she was being dramatically underpaid by him. Sorry, not by him. By the studio, and Chris Pratt was actually helping her try to
Increase her
pay. Yeah, he was being a good dude about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was complaining about it. To be fair, like she might have just stated that. She might have just been like, "Yeah, they weren't paying me as much, and Chris helped me out." I don't know if she was like, "Screw that," but
I don't know what's hard to understand. Like, there's hard data and like forecasting specifically done to determine the adequate salary.
Well, like they
for
put
an
these
actor.
models, they put the stars
Yeah.
in the models, and like the average
And the
the
models
average box
are
star.
like remarkably accurate too.
Right.
Like, just-
Yes, like you definitely put Chris Pratt in a leading role, and the model goes up. You put her in the model as a supporting character,
but it'll be like
nothing, but
not as up.
not much.
Yeah.
Also, you could replace her with a lot of attractive women
Right.
generally, and within that role, and it probably would have had would have been comparable anyway. Like, but I don't think this is a sex thing. Like, you could have a star like Scarlett Johansson in it, or you could have had like Sigourney Weaver in it at like when she was peaking. Would have been the same thing. It's a market thing.
Yeah.
It depends what the people want to see, and like,
Right.
she's not that famous. Like Bryce Dallas Howard. Oh, I think the thing was literally like, oh, I was only paid like $6 million, and he was paid like $12 million. It's like, oh no,
Boo-hoo.
you're not going to be able to afford a set third mansion. By the way, your dad's Ron Howard, dude. He's one of the best directors in Hollywood. Your life must really be hard.
That explains the red
So
hair
hard.
as well.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just like she's bitching. It's like, I
Come on,
get it.
dude.
Like, but come on. Like, it's
Yeah.
the market. If you want to be paid more, then star in better movies. And like,
Hey, at the end of the day, it's about leverage.
yeah,
It's all about leverage. If she can pull
Yes,
out and the
it's
movie
all about
tanks,
leverage.
then they got to pay her more.
I feel like there's this thing going around in Hollywood where it's like it's just so easy to be like it's the gender parity without like thinking about anything else. So I don't know. To be fair, like this article I don't necessarily see that she's maybe complaining about it. She might not be complaining about it. She might just be saying that that's what happened.
Like I
But I
think
feel like a
in
lot
general,
of actresses are like, oh, I got paid less with him because I'm a woman. It's like, well, you probably got paid less because people are going to movies to see him and not you. You know?
I think like the general point
that-
that mainstream people don't always use is that when you're comparing these things, you have to compare apples to apples. Otherwise, it's not a fair comparison.
Right.
Yeah, and that's just not something that people generally do. The tidbits are a lot more like loud and like
Right.
attractive than actually explaining the analytics of it.
Right. There's
So-
also like, I mean, you could also like, if you wanted to like gender role this, so we're not, so it's not like a sex thing. Like, think about if this was the Hunger Games and it was Jennifer Lawrence was getting paid less than any of her co-stars. Yeah, that'd be fucking ridiculous.
Right.
People are definitely going to the movies to see her, so she better have been paid higher, and she probably was.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works. It's not about sex; it's about marketability.
Yeah, I remember there's
like-
one article where she was saying how she got paid less than Chris Pratt in the Passengers movie, which was actually them to equate. That I can understand.
That is actually interesting.
Yeah,
that
that I can
actually might be sexism. 'cause
right. And that I
they
could
were
totally
both,
get on
they're
top of.
both pretty
Yeah.
equally like
Yeah,
she.
that is the
Bryce
draw.
Dallas Howard's definitely now the same, but Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe not now, but like 3 or 4 years ago, they were pretty much on the same level,
Yeah.
marketability wise.
I agree. Yeah.
So that actually might have been a sexist thing. So
Anyways.
it's probably there, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know how I got on that, but I just remember
Huge
seeing the
tangent.
article being like, "Fuck off."
All right. Well,
Anyway.
let's wrap up with a show rec.
Yeah, let's
So
do
you
it.
have one.
So I do have one. I was one of my friends a couple weeks ago introduced me to Nathan For You, which is an amazing show on HBO, and it's actually very easy to watch. There's only like 3 or 4 seasons of like 8 episodes each, and they're all like 25 minutes.
Oh, it's a docu-series.
I guess. Yeah, it kind of is. It
Ah.
kind of is. You have to watch
97%
it.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Dude, it's amazing. It's so funny.
Whoa.
It's one of the funniest shows I've watched in a while.
Okay.
It's really good. So highly recommend Nathan For You if you haven't watched it. And the reason it's come up is because it's an old show. I think it first came out in like 2013.
Yeah.
The reason why it's come up is because he has a new show on HBO now called The Rehearsal, which is a
Okay.
different concept, but it's the same guy and he's doing very similar stuff.
Okay.
And it's really funny. It's basically like the premise is he like tries to help people like get through a difficult situation, like maybe a weird social interaction or something, by rehearsing it like to the T. So like what like they'll do like the first episode is like this dude who he's like in like this normal dude. He's like in this group and he lied to the like a trivia group. And he lied to the group when he first met them that he went to college, but he actually didn't, or like he got his master's degree and he didn't. So he hired Nathan to help him get through the situation of explaining to one of his friends that he didn't actually get his master's.
Okay.
And he's like, this is an awkward conversation. So they rehearse it. And like Nathan like recreates the entire bar and they like rehearse like
Everything.
every possible situation that could happen within the interaction. And it's so funny, dude. They like it's hysterical. So it's I don't think it's as good as Nathan For You. Like Nathan For You is really good, and maybe this
Yeah.
one picks up. But if you haven't seen Nathan For You
Well,
You is incredible.
Definitely gonna watch it because this guy is Canadian too. So
Yeah.
shout out to my Canadian comedians.
Yeah, dude, it's good. It's
right.
good. So that's what I recommend. But no movies, unfortunately. How about
Okay.
you?
Well, I haven't seen any shows recently because I've been rewatching Breaking Bad with my wife, and I'm finishing up The
Oh,
Boys
damn.
season 3.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's coming up.
All good
But
news.
we'll have some good movie reviews coming up. So
Yeah.
Those are gonna be
I
good.
gotta. Yeah. I really want to see Marcel. And,
Marcello
Nope.
the Shell.
Did you see Nope yet?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we'll discuss.
Fan
Nope
of
when I've
both.
Seen it.
Yep.
You are a fan of both. Okay.
Fan of both.
Marcel, I was like pretty confident in. And Nope, I've mostly seen good reviews, and I like Jordan Peele, and I also love Aliens.
Nope.
So,
Definitely is like a watch 3 times kind of movie. Yeah.
like, it's just, is it super complicated, or you
The
miss
first time
things?
you're kind of like, oh, okay. The second time you're like, oh, and the third time you're like, oh, well
really.
done. Yeah.
You've seen it 3 times?
Yeah, I've seen it 3 times.
Did you go to
It's
the theater
good.
3 times?
I went to see the theater twice, and then I watched the second one on a different streaming service.
Yes. Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I want to check it out. I'm probably going to try to see it this weekend. So,
Yeah. All right, that's coming up.
yeah, figure
Get
it out.
excited.
Sweet.
Well, thank you for listening to us ramble for
All right.
another 45 minutes.
That's
Appreciate
right.
y'all. We'll see you in a bit.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Peace.